our border on this square, and it is now time for some surface crochet. Surface crochet is simply slip stitching through the fabric that we've made, and you start with the yarn underneath your work. So we're going to go ahead and put the yarn under our work. You can put a slip knot on it if you need one or want one, and then we're just going to go into, we're slip stitching in between row 1 and 2 of our first section here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my hook in right here. So we're in between row 1 and 2, and I'm going to grab a loop and pull it through. If you have a slip knot on, just grab the slip knot, okay? And then we're just going to place a slip stitch in the next stitch. So you can see this is where the stitch, here there was one stitch. All right, that was on the top of row 1, the stitch from row 2 on top of row 1, and now we're going to go underneath the next stitch of row 2 in the top of row 1 and just yarn over, okay, and pull up a loop. Then we're going to go into this chain space, so we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and I'm going to go ahead and just make a chain within that space, okay? So I'm just going to go ahead and make one more chain just to give myself a little extra room on these turns. I'm going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, whoopsie, and then into the last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. All right, and then all I'm going to do is cut the yarn, and carefully, without tightening this stitch, I'm going to pull that loop through and then go ahead and just pull the end to the inside, to the wrong side of my work. All right, so there you can see I have the surface crochet in between rows 1 and 2, and you can see both of my ends are on the wrong side of my work. Okay, so that was in between rows 1 and 2. Now I'm going to skip a row and do surface crochet on the next row, which is just right here. So to put the next row of surface crochet stitches in, I'm just grabbing my loop from underneath my work, and then I'm going to just slip stitch into the next stitch, and then slip stitch into the next stitch, and keep doing that. We're going to get to this chain space in a moment. All right. Make sure you're keeping your tension loose. If you do it too tight, you will make your square smaller. So now we're into the chain 2 space. I'm going to go ahead, pull up that loop, and then I'm just going to make one more chain within this space again so that it can turn for me. And then keep on doing slip stitches throughout the top of this row until I get to the very last stitch. And I want to finish it kind of in one of these, the bottom of one of these stitches from the border. It's going to just neaten up better when I do the surface crochet around the top, if it's matches up with that somewhere. So now we're going to cut that and pull the tail, and then go back in here and get the tail back onto the wrong side of the work. And I want to do one more just so you can see what happens when we have more of the shaping. So there we go. We had one row of surface crochet and then skipped a row, and then we did a surface crochet again. Now we're going to skip again, and then we'll do the surface crochet here along this big old zigzag. Okay, so we're going in right here, grabbing our yarn, maybe, there we go, grab the yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch into the next stitch, slip stitch into the next stitch, and just keep doing this to make your surface crochets all the way along here. Feel like I missed one? No, I didn't. Okay. And again, we get to the chain 2 space, and we make an extra chain inside of the chain 2 space. Okay, and then keep on going through each stitch. And eventually we'll get to that decrease, and I just want you to see it's not really scary at all. But I wanted to show you in case you were a little nervous about it. It's really easy to see where the stitches go because there's already a stitch in between these two rows. You're just essentially going right where you see the top of one row and the bottom of the next, where they are. Wherever the stitch from the next row is worked into the stitch of the previous row is where you place a slip stitch. That's it. Super simple. So you're going to do this every other row all the way across this entire center square part. We're going to keep going, finish up this little zigzag, and then we'll have the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until all of those zigzags look like this. All right, you see them all? And then you're going to do the surface crochet around the outside of the square, which is underneath the first row of the border, the first round of the border. So on top of the square, below the first round of the border, and again you're going to do surface crochet every other row. So then we skip a row, do another round of surface crochet, skip a round, do another round of surface crochet, and then you still have these really nice, neat top row of stitches here along the outside of your square, where you can join it up to whatever other square you are joining it up to. All right, and that is all it takes to finish up this square. There are really fun color ideas you can do with this. You can do this with just one color because there's so much texture going on. It'll still look really neat. You can do this with just two colors and just have one for the surface crochet and one for the rest. If you could also make row one of the inner square with one color, then rows 2 and 3 the next, rows 4 and 5 the next, and just do 2 rows at a time. Row 1 would be the first color, and then after that do 2 rows at a time of the second color. All right, if you want to do a multicolored square inside, and you could also add more surface crochet, you could add less surface crochet, you could just do this as 2 separate colors and with, you know, one half one color, one half the other color, and put your surface crochet only through the middle. However you want to play with the colors, have fun with it and just, you know, explore and see what nifty little things you can do to create your own version based on however many colors you have. All right, have fun and crochet away.